was worried that I was going to be too late for your show.
No, it's fine. You're all good. And it's a Friday. It's relaxed. All of my shows are very casual. And, I feel very fortunate that I get to speak to a person whose name is actually on a wine label. That doesn't happen very often. So I'm talking to the big honcho, the big boss. Where are you right now?
Well, I don't know about that.
Are you in Napa?
I'm in Napa. Actually, I'm in Napa. I just went mountain biking to look at a vineyard in the mud, and I took my dog with me, and then my dog went and swam in a really bad, nasty pond. So you can see him there.
Oh, I love dogs. I have like 5 dogs. What's his or her name?
That's Strauss, but he smells really bad. The pond was all green and nasty. So
what kind of dog is that?
When I get home with that guy.
Oh, okay. I see that. What kind of dog is he?
He's a shepherd.
He's a shepherd. Those are the best. I have an Australian shepherd myself. All right. Before we get into the wines, we have 4 wines. Obviously, your wines
great.
are represented here by Elorio de Suarez. Great company. Kudos to them for bringing these wines.
Yep.
They're very well known. You see Joel Gott everywhere. And we have 4 wines. I have your Chardonnay. We're going to start off with this one. I have this Pinot Noir. I've never had this Pinot before. Then we're going to go to this Grenache, or Garnacha, as we call it here. This Shatter wine. I love the label. It's very kind of funky. And then we're going to go to a very, very well-known Cabernet Sauvignon, the Joel Gott 2017. Do you hear me well? Do you hear any interference, any sort of...
a little
bit. A little bit? I don't know if it's me. All right. Let me ask the others. The sound, my voice, and my context comes across, right? So do you follow what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay, great. That's great. That's perfect. So my first question is the beginning of your life, since you have memories. Were you exposed to wine growing up at home? Were your parents wine drinkers?
Yeah, my dad is a winemaker, and so is my grandfather. So I grew up at a winery with everybody drinking wine, everybody cooking. It was very normal for everybody to have wine around. I mean, they gave it to us as kids, but we didn't really drink it. It wasn't until I was in my teens or 20s that I really found the appreciation for wine.
Can you recall whether your dad or granddad had a favorite sort of grape or region or wine that they used to drink?
A lot of it was like, for my dad, it was Zinfandel from up in Amador County, because that was his first winery that he actually owned. So he was a huge component of Zinfandel. My grandfather worked for Hubline, which owned Inglenook. So they were much more of a traditional Cabernet, and I'd say Chardonnay, but really it was mostly Cabernet and Bordeaux blends in the 60s and 70s.
A question that I always like to ask, because for me it happened as a consumer. Obviously, I'm not a winemaker nor a winery owner, but did you ever have this special wine, an epiphany, or a wine that sort of was your first love, a unicorn wine that really, knocked your socks off or blew your mind away?
Really, I would say that some of the wines that I really appreciated early on would be things like Turley Zinfandel. I remember having that and thinking like, wow, this is out of the world. Some of the very early on, rosés that I had from Provence were incredible. Stuff that I hadn't been exposed to as a kid. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I had some of those and just thinking, wow, this acid, savory sweetness, this, the salty finish. I remember just thinking they're out of this world. And then, as I've gotten older, being able to drink some of the really incredible wines from the Rhone Valley, I think are the other ones that really are, amazing. And of course, it's fun to drink expensive Burgundy and stuff, but I like value. I love stuff that's inexpensive and just, blows you away.
Yeah, because if you pay $100, $200 for a bottle, it better be damn good, right? I guess
right.
The fun part is when you find this $25, $30 bottle of wine that can stand next to a big gun, right? That's the cool thing about it.
Right.
my other question involves, or my second or third question is your career. Did you have a charter path set out for you, or were you ever in a position where you wanted to be something else, or you knew you were going to get involved with wine early on as a job?
I can give you the 1 minute history, and you'll see why I didn't. I went straight from high school to work at a winery, no college. I went from that to being a ski bum at a ski area. From that to being my brother and I owning a little grocery store in Calistoga at the top of Napa Valley, to meeting my then girlfriend, now wife, starting a winery, deciding that I wanted a hamburger stand, so we opened up a hamburger stand, to meeting these two crazy guys, Charles Beeler and Roger Scomenia, and starting Three Thieves and making the wines that I never thought I'd get to make, one of the most exciting projects I've ever done, and still two of my best friends. All the way through meeting these wonderful people at Trinchero to help grow our businesses with Three Thieves and Joel Got Wines. It's all just been an evolution. Every day is like a mystery, and we've been fortunate enough that a lot of our projects have worked.
Yeah, that's important. And obviously you employ a lot of people, and, a lot of people can bring food to their homes because of this project. When did you start your namesake winery? When did Joel Gott first start out?
I'm going to make myself sound old. 1996.
Okay, it's not old. It's the other day.
I know. It was my girlfriend, Sarah. She, at the time, no kids, weren't married. It was easy. I was like, why can't we just make a little bit of wine? So.
And does she like wine? Does your wife like wine?
Yes. Yeah, she is technically the head honcho winemaker. Not only my wife, the boss, the mom, but also the head winemaker. So we don't mess with her.
Same here. Like, my wife is the mom, the boss. She makes the shots. All I have is this iPhone and a couple of wine glasses. That's what I do for fun. So, what do you drink for fun? What do you drink when you're not drinking the wines you make, or the wines that your friends give you to try? Like, what do you buy with your own money to have around? Like, if a thief comes to your cellar and raids your cellar, what would he find?
They'll probably trip over some mezcal bottles on the way in, or a tequila bottle or two. But, I like white wine. I love Rhone whites. I like Sancerre, white Burgundy, not the expensive stuff, but like Chablis, Sauvignon Blanc, Rosé. Those are all real staples. Red wine wise, I love inexpensive Rhone reds like Côte Rhones. From there, I would say, other things that are like a nightly drink is we have so much of our own wines in the house. We're always tasting against other wines. So it's usually somebody else's Cab or Zinfandel or Pinot that we brought home that we've tasted at work.
That's cool. All right, let's get into the wines, because people are here to learn a bit or two about wine. Let's get to the Joel Gott Chardonnay. What can you tell us about this 2017 Chardonnay from California?
So 2017 is a great vintage across the board in California. That Chardonnay is made all in stainless steel, so there's no oak. So what we did with that is we fermented it, pick it in the early morning, so the grapes arrive at the winery cold. It goes straight to a press. It's pressed into stainless steel tanks and stainless steel drums. From there, it's aged in tanks and drums. It's because we're trying to make it like a Chablis, where you taste the Chardonnay and it doesn't have the interference of oak or oxidation.
I love the fact that the nose is kind of grassy and lemony. I was expecting this whack of sweet apple and honey perhaps and butter, but it's not. It's pure fruit. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, we like that wine a lot. We think it's, both Sarah and I really like, Chablis style wines, which basically just means that they're not oak interfered. And there's a lot of great Chardonnays out there that are barrel fermented. But for what we like, I learned about this technique going through Burgundy and also down in Australia on the Mornington Peninsula. So we think it's a fun wine.
It's very clean. It's crisp. It's crunchy. Not necessarily do you associate these words, these descriptors, with Chardonnay from California, because I don't want to say that they're all the same, but this feels very clean, has a whiff of grassy notes, which are kind of cool because it makes it seem very fresh. Is this made in the Chablis style, if you will?
Yes, so all Chablis, which basically means that there's just no oak in it.
Yeah. So very little interference from oak, and that's why perhaps the acidity comes across as something that's very present. And this wine could work with so many different foods, like dishes, recipes. What do you like to pair this with at home? Like if anyone goes to El Orrio de Suarez and buys this, what would you pair this with?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it can handle spice, right? So for me, this is like, it's that edge of like, some sort of fish that's been grilled that has something that's got a little heat on it, or, anything that's roasted. There's enough viscosity, like thickness in the wine and acid that it really holds up.
Yeah, I love the nose here, and it's $22.99 for those of you watching us, and this for the Puerto Rican morcilla or blood sausage in Christmas that has a touch of spice and has a lot of fat in it, would cut through that fat and would really make your palate sing. This is a pretty wine, a very pretty Chardonnay, very clean, very easy to drink. All right, Joel, let's get to the second wine. I know you gotta wash that dog. Okay, so we got the Joel Gott Santa Barbara, and this is Pinot Noir 2016. What can you tell us about this one?
So 2016 is a softer vintage, right? So the tannins are not very big across the board. You don't think about tannins in Pinot, but there are tannins in Pinot. So this is like big, sweet fruit concentration, has a lot of that back of palate, big notes of roasted, like really ripe fruit. But it has the silkiness of Pinot. And that's very, like for Santa Barbara, a lot of times the wines are a little bit heavier. Not heavier, a little more tannic or a little, bigger. This vintage of 16 was soft and sweeter.
This is fantastic for less than $25. A Pinot Noir from a specific site. This is a steal, man. You're losing money. This should be more expensive. This is very, very good.
That's marketing, right?
It's very good, Joel. It's really good, and the presentation is lovely. It's beautiful. It's very Burgundian, very elegant label. And, not that the label has anything to do with it, but there are people that go for that. I love this is a savory wine. It's very savory. Has this beautiful sort of red fruit, has cranberry notes, a little bit of tea. It's easy to drink, but it's also nuanced. It has enough complexity to make you think. It has that rhubarb forest floor note. I love the Christmas spice, the pine, or there's this eucalyptus freshness, like fresh sandalwood, if you will. I really like this wine. It's very very complex and very easy to drink at the same time.
Yeah, it has that cedarwood sandalbox, like earthy cedar.
Yeah, and it changes, and it doesn't feel heavy at all, nor does it feel sweet. Certain Pinots from California can be a little sweet, a little on the commercial side, especially at the price point between 15 and 20 bucks. This, for those of you who are looking to buy a wine, and a lot of people ask me, or they give me a budget. They say, I want to buy a bottle of wine for less than 30. And this is a great buy. I mean, for $23 at El Orrio de Suarez, this is an outstanding Pinot Noir. What would you pair this with?
Well, I don't know the Puerto Rican food well enough. So, give
me your food. Give me your food. We eat pretty much
I
want
to have it this time of the year with roasted like chicken, or like some pork shoulder or pork tenderloin that's been grilled. That's not too big, that doesn't have too much flavor, but that wine will shine with a little bit of fat from the meats. It'd be really great. Did you see the famous winemaker Charles Beeler just joined? I just saw his name flash across.
Charles Beeler. Hello, sir. Welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here. So we have a lot of wine royalty in the house. I feel very privileged. So, Joel, good question from our dear friend Oscar Espinosa. Have you ever been down to Puerto Rico?
I have not, but I know Charles has down there surfing. I should be down. I'm not a good enough surfer, though, so I'd probably need lessons before I would go.
Well, if you like mezcal, if you like tequila, do you like rum?
Yes. Never turned it away.
We make pretty good rum, sir. Pretty good rum. So you could come down and I'll treat you to some rum. Is that Josh Phelps of Phelps fame? I don't know if he is.
I just saw Josh.
So we got some of the big guns joining this interview. This is a very good wine, and now I'm getting some citric blood orange notes. This is spectacular Pinot Noir. Jesus, $22. I can't believe it. And for the Christmas holiday, I mean the season that we're in the middle of, we have the longest. Why are the bottles heavier than most? That's a good question.
It's just we just try to pick nice looking glass. So the glass always, it's kind of a little piece of art that we get to mess with. So you can get the glass in all shapes, weights, forms, colors. I really like green glass, like what champagne comes in. And then, I try to have the bottle have a little more curve to it to stand out.
I love the fact that it's 13.6% alcohol. There are some very trendy Pinot Noirs out there being made in Sebastopol, being made in certain areas that have garnered very high scores and also very good press that sell for $60, $70. They're made in small production. How many bottles of this beauty do you make? Because this is very well made.
This is like 6,000. The head of marketing's on this call, Mark Dunley, and he would know for sure. But I think it was like between 6,000 and 7,000 cases.
This is the best Pinot Noir for less than $25 I've had in my life. Joel Gott, Santa Barbara Pinot Noir. Yeah. And I've been doing this for 10, 11 years, being blocked. This is very savory, very nuanced, low alcohol. The fruit shines through. The acidity is incredible for food. It's very versatile. Lovely, lovely Pinot Noir. All right. I know you got to go at some point to take care of the dog. Let's go into this shatter.
Yeah, this is a great one. So this project's been going for a while now. And so the way we started this 10 years ago is the winemaker Dave Finney, you probably know from making The Prisoner or Orange Swift wines. He drugged me over to the south of France, below, like kind of between the Rhone Valley and Barcelona on the eastern seaboard. Mark Dunley's confirming 6,200 cases of that Pinot, by the way.
Thank you, Mark. That Pinot, thank you, Mark. That Pinot is unbelievable. This is the Christmas buy, people. Go to Eloy Rivera Suarez and buy a case. Buy a case. Okay, you were telling me about.
So we started with Dave Finney. Took us over there to show us this incredible old vine Grenache, 100-year-old Grenache vines growing in what is like slate, it's like granite. It's amazing that the vines can even grow there. So Charles Bieler and I started making the wine. What we're going for is this amazing concentration, yet with balance, so that you have tannin, you have structure, you have savoriness, you have mouth. It's not over the top, but it's like huge from the standpoint of the concentration of the Grenache. But if you make it with a little bit of balance, over the last couple of years, we've gotten into doing whole cluster stems in with the fermentation. So the stems add a little bit to it. We're also doing all the fermentations native, which is something that we don't do back in California. So we let the fermentations go on their own. So it's a very unique project. The winemaking is really led by Charles Bieler. I think the wines are incredible. We've gotten some incredible press on them. We don't make very much of it. I think they're really unique and fun to drink. And they're huge, but they're not over the top where you can't have food with them. So I love this wine. I think it's great.
I love the nose. Has that typical. Go ahead.
You had the 17 is what you had there. I didn't see as you flipped the bottle.
I love Catalanes. Yeah, this is 2018, Joe. I have 2018.
You got the 18. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the 18 product of France. Grenache,
that's the one with the really...
old one.
That's the one with
This
the
is a
really
big bottle.
review. I would buy that and drink that tonight.
This is a lovely nose. I'm getting that garrigue. I'm getting that sort of Rhone nose with a lot of herbs, a lot of spice. There's a tiny note of forest floor as well, and then that there's a very nice red fruit coming across with a little bit of minerality. I love the minerality. I don't know if it's I don't want to say
savory.
It's savory, but I don't want to say that it smells like blood, but something irony. It's nice. It's complex. This is Eddie Van Halen playing the guitar. Wow. Coats. Your palate has grace, has elegance. I don't feel the 15.6 wine alcohol level here. It's very well managed. Doesn't feel hot. Doesn't feel heavy.
No,
it doesn't feel heavy at all. And I love that it's. I'm getting some freshness, some eucalyptus, some mint, some menthol, something that on the back palate, something that refreshes comes back. It's nice.
I mean, really, the wine is big enough that it can hold that alcohol. You need that. It has to be a big wine to hold, over 15%. But that's where you get that old vine Grenache. It's so concentrated, it gets extremely ripe. But the big deal there is that it has balance. It has savoriness, saltiness, finish on the wine,
and it's soft. It doesn't. It's well rounded. The tannins are very polished. Has a long finish, and again, it's 21.88 here in Puerto Rico. I just heard
that's
from
cheaper than in the States.
Well, you know what Oscar said? They make a great job for Trinquero. Your second biggest international market is Puerto Rico, my friend. So you definitely got to come down. You got to come down. This is an incredible bottle of wine, and this would go very well with lechon asado, a pig, roasted pork. We eat a lot of that here. This is a big boy, and here in Puerto Rico, we like our wines, with personality, with heft. It's a good wine. Oof. And it evolves, it changes. I love the fact that it changes on the glass. It evolves. All right, let's get to the last wine. I've had you for 28 minutes. You got stuff to do. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon that's super well known in Puerto Rico. You see it at a lot of restaurants. So tell me a little bit about this one. This is a very, very famous wine for a lot of people.
Yeah, so this wine is our flagship wine. It's a blend of over 60 different vineyards sourced throughout the state of California, all the way from Napa, Sonoma, Lake County, Mendocino, Paso Robles, Santa Barbara County, Borden area. All these are reasons we buy fruit, grapes, all over these areas is for complexity. So we buy fruit everywhere, we ferment it, and then we slowly blend it together over a year and a half to try to make a wine that has the biggest mouthfeel, sweetest, softest tannins, but at the same time structure, huge color, mouthfeel. So we try to weave these vineyards together in a way through blending that creates just a massive wine, which you really never see at this price point. That's why we feel like there's so much more to the bottle. We also because we're working with all these vineyards, we're really following Mother Nature. It's a great example of what the 2017 vintage was here in California. A lot of times, wines of this price, you would try to make them taste the same every vintage. We're trying to make the best wine from the vintage. So we think that this way that we're blending this Cabernet, the way that we're aging it, it all goes through. We have a massive barrel program for this wine. We have over 8,000 barrels, mostly American oak, that we run the wine through to give it its aging, its complexity, to help it oxidize. So we think at this price point, for our palates, this wine knocks it out of the park. The 17 is a great vintage. It's very much like the 15. A lot of tannin and structure. But what you'll see, the 18 vintage, which is coming, you'll probably have in the next, I don't know, week, month, something like that, is very different. It's a bigger wine, bigger mouth feels, a little bit softer, not as many tannins, and that's really the vintage. So I love trying them because the vintages all change. Our winemaking style changes to what Mother Nature gives us.
Yeah, it's very, very velvety. It's very elegant. It's very easy to drink. Has obviously that ripe Cabernet fruit, but it's very well balanced. The alcohol is in check at 13.6. I like that. I like my wines on the not low alcohol. Cabernet obviously ripens very
but in
well,
balance.
But it's a well-made wine. Yeah, in balance. I love that it has pepper, has cassis, it has cherry, black cherry, currant paste. It feels on the palate, very non-invasive. Certain wines, it's a big whack of fruit or oak. Here, it's very well integrated. I guess it's all about balance at the end of the day. Very, very well made. And this is obviously a crowd favorite here in Puerto Rico.
I love it.
They just said, Oscar said that only in Canada do you sell more wine in the international market. But Canada has 35 million people. Here we have 3. Right. So, Puerto Ricans drink a lot. One last question, Joel, before we wrap up. And I always ask this to winemakers, especially those who have their names on the labels. So, millions of people all over the world have had your wines over the years, and your name is actually on the bottle. So after they drink one of your wines, when you make these wines, what do you want them to feel, say, think when they taste a Joel Gott wine?
I just want them to feel like they got something that was priced wrong. They got more in the bottle than they paid for. To me, that's the most important thing. We put a lot of effort into making these wines. We have an incredible team. We have amazing growers that we buy grapes from. And I want somebody to buy a bottle and be like, I don't know why I like it, but I love that wine more than the wine that I normally buy at that same price. And just because we think we've got a lot of great winemaking that we're doing and a lot of great fruit that we're putting in the bottle. That's really it.
Yeah.
We love making it.
One of my creeds or mottos is that you don't have to spend a fortune to drink good wine. Last question, I promise. What's in the pipeline? What's new? Is there anything new that you can share with us, or something that you're working on, something that's coming up?
There's no real new wines. It's mostly just perfecting our growing, like where we're growing grapes, what it's like. There's climate change. So where do you grow them? We're always trying to work on new stuff, but, it's nothing huge. The wines that we're making up in the state of Oregon, we love a lot. There's some really good Pinot Grigs and Pinot up there we're excited about. We're really excited about Santa Barbara appellation for growing Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet in. But those are the big ones. Charles and I are, still working on the Shatter Project, trying to make some fun stuff there. We've got a lot of fun wines at Three Thieves. So, Three Thieves is kind of the experimental vehicle, where you'll see new stuff come through from Charles and I. We started making some seltzers are so popular. We made some seltzers made from wine under the Bandit brand. So we experiment on little stuff. Try to
That's great. You got an open invitation to Puerto Rico, my friend. You got a new friend in San Juan, and I know you got to go clean your beautiful dog. Have a great holiday season, and I hope you
Thanks
stay
everybody
safe.
for tuning in.
You and your family. Take care. Cheers.